Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. Today's Friday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I'm Sean Duhamel. Thank you so much for joining with us and tuning in again this week. Now, I've got two main topics to cover this week, one being an update on the implementation of the Social Security Fairness Act. We also want to provide an update of the beginning of the 2025-2026 legislative session here in Massachusetts. But before I jump into those topics, just a quick update that a week from today, Friday, February 21st, we will be holding our Boston area meeting at Florian Hall in Dorchester. The meeting begins at 11 a.m. Florian Hall, conveniently located right off of Interstate 93. It's the home of Boston Firefighters Local 718. We very much appreciate allowing us to use this fantastic venue for our meeting. Area meetings are open to all Mass Retirees members. You are welcome to bring a guest. If you haven't previously been to an area meeting, if you're in the area, come on by, say hello. They're a great way not only to learn more about what's going on, you get to meet us in person. If you have questions, comments, complaints, personal things about your pension or your health care that you want to talk to us one-on-one about, the area meetings provide a great opportunity to do so. As I've said in the past, and I know that Frank Valeri, our president, and our whole staff feel the same way, but it's one of the favorite parts for me of this job that I do for all of you, is having the ability to meet you in person and get to know everybody a little bit. So we're having several meetings throughout Massachusetts over the course of the year. We're adding a couple of additional meetings, one being in Natick in April. The information about upcoming meetings is always found in our newsletter on page 3. The current special edition of the newsletter has a listing of events that are coming up, including a teletown hall meeting specific to weapon GPO repeal. That will take place in March. U.S. Senator Ed Markey will be our special guest for the teletown hall. But take a look, again, page 3 of the newsletter will give you everything you need to know about upcoming meetings. So with that, let me jump into the news of the week. Now, in terms of implementation of weapon GPO repeal, the Social Security Fairness Act, we don't have a lot of new information to share with you. Social Security has not released a new update or directive since February 3rd. And every day we check, I'm sure many of you are doing the same thing, we're looking for more information about what's happening. But the good news is that we are beginning to hear from members, particularly those members who were previously denied a spousal or survivor Social Security benefit due to the government pension offset, the GPO. Many of these individuals have already begun to receive their first Social Security payment. So these are folks that went into Social Security about a month ago, shortly after the law was signed by President Biden on January 5th. They went into Social Security, they applied for a benefit. They're being treated as a new applicant because they've never received benefits before. Many of these retirees received a verbal denial. They weren't even issued a letter. So they went into Social Security, or maybe they called and they were just told, well, you're receiving a public pension, so you don't qualify. Have a good day. So there was never any official denial. So in these cases, they're being treated as a new applicant. Things are being processed pretty quick. And again, the good news is people have already started to get paid. So it gives us a lot of hope that the process is underway. Money is starting to flow, which has always been the goal of this. Many of you that have taken the time to reach out and call and send in notes and letters, you've shared that you've been retired now, in some cases, for more than a decade, sometimes 2 or 3 decades. And you've been a victim of these laws this whole time. And in particular, under the GPO, for those retirees who were completely denied a benefit, in many cases, that benefit is worth $1,000 or more per month. So the increase in household income is significant. And I don't need to tell you the importance of that. So we are thrilled that members are starting to get paid. Now, unfortunately, for the bulk of retirees, particularly those of you who are impacted by the WEP, so you're receiving a benefit, it's been reduced because of the WEP. There are about 2.1 million current retirees spread all across the country who are impacted by the windfall elimination provision, the WEP. As it stands now, every single one of these benefits must be manually recalculated. As we have been explaining over the past few weeks, and Social Security has shared this publicly, and we've been able to verify it through meetings that we've had in Washington, D.C., organizations that we are in constant contact with who have direct knowledge of how the Social Security system works, have verified this. Every single benefit under the WEP and those under the GPO that were reduced need to be manually recalculated for both the ongoing monthly benefit as well as the retroactive benefit. There is no simple way to flip a switch or write a piece of code or anything like that. That's not to say that the computer system can't over time be updated and upgraded to allow this to happen, but it's going to take time. It's going to take some months to do this, and we're hoping that it only takes months and does not drag on for as long as some may fear, which would be over a year. We do not want to see that happen. Again, we want to see you get your money as soon as possible. So we continue to work closely with our national allies, with groups here in Massachusetts. We're in constant communication with members of Congress, keeping them updated in terms of what we're hearing, but more importantly, keeping the pressure on to see this law fully implemented as quickly and as efficiently as is possible. Now, at the same time, we are growing increasingly concerned by reports that Social Security is targeted for reductions in their workforce. And we're hearing reports on the news. We've heard directly from members of Congress from both parties, as well as from the union that represents the bulk of the Social Security workers. They are very much in the mix in terms of either an early out or even potential layoffs of Social Security employees. The last thing that Social Security needs is a reduction in their workforce. That would be catastrophic. That will harm retirees. That could very well lead to significant delays in these claims being processed and checks being sent out to make retirees whole. These are things that we don't want to see happen. So we're urging the Trump administration as well as the congressional leadership to hold Social Security harmless. Do not reduce the workforce. If anything, lift the hiring freeze, bring on more workers, bring back retirees on a part-time basis, pay overtime, do whatever it takes to most efficiently and quickly implement this law and get retirees the money that they deserve and that they're owed. It's as simple as that. So we're going to continue to monitor this situation. We're going to continue to do everything we possibly can on our end to advocate on your behalf to see this happen. And as we learn more, as new information comes in either from SSA or as what we're hearing directly from members, we'll let you all know. Now, for those of you who have taken the time to reach out and continue to reach out and update us on your personal situation, thank you for that. You are providing extremely valuable information. You're not only keeping us well informed, but you're helping us to keep our overall membership well informed. So thank you very much for that, and please continue to do so. But again, the good news here is that some retirees are beginning to get paid. The process is underway, and we're hoping that this continues unabated going forward. Now, here in Massachusetts, we are monitoring the situation on Beacon Hill. We are very anxiously awaiting the 2025-2026 legislative session to get fully underway. There's a lot of activity behind the scenes. The House and Senate are about to agree or vote on their rules for the current session. Every session, the rules slightly change. It's about the flow of bills and how the process and systems work, and it takes time to put all that together. We are anticipating that most likely by the end of this month, the end of February, we'll have a rules agreement in place before the House and the Senate. Shortly after that, traditionally, the House and Senate leadership have made their committee appointments, both in terms of chairmen of committees as well as committee members. And then within a week or two of committee assignments being made, bills are assigned numbers, and the bills are then assigned to the appropriate committee. Now, as we reported a couple of weeks ago, our association has filed 18 bills for the current session. You can find a link to those bills in today's email blast that went out to all members this morning, as well as further information about the other topics that I'm talking about here. But those 18 bills, the bulk of them most likely will be assigned to the Joint Committee on Public Service. Public Service is the legislative committee that has direct oversight over all issues relating to public employment. So whether it be civil service, public retirement, public retiree and active employee health insurance benefits, anything related to public service itself, most likely is going to be reviewed by the Public Service Committee. As a matter of fact, Public Service is one of the more active legislative committees, usually with well over 1,000 bills assigned to the committee every session. So it's a heavy workload that they have to deal with. The current chairs of the committee have chaired Public Service for the past 2 legislative cycles. They are State Representative Ken Gordon from Bedford and State Senator Mike Brady from the city of Brockton. We have very close working relationships with both Chairman Gordon and Chairman Brady. We're hoping that they're reassigned to the committee, but you never know. And it would not be unusual, since a number of years have gone by. Again, they've been chairs now for a couple of sessions. It would not be unusual for them to get reassigned to a different committee. But it also wouldn't be unusual for them to come back to public service. We just don't know. So the most important thing that we're waiting on right now is the committee assignments. Then we'll know who the players are, who we're working with, are people coming back, do we have new chairs that are not as familiar with some of these issues as Chair Gordon and Chair Brady are now familiar with it because of their experience. These are all things that we'll be tackling over the coming weeks. We'll be letting you know fully who the chairs are. And then by the time we get into hopefully mid to late March, some of those public hearings will begin. Here in Massachusetts, under our state constitution, every single bill that was filed in a timely manner, so by the deadline back in January, must receive a public hearing. And that's something that is unique to Massachusetts. In many states, and certainly at the federal level, there's no guarantee that a bill's ever going to be heard. You could file a bill for decades in some cases, and that there's never a public hearing on that bill. So you never really get your day in court under those circumstances. Where here in Massachusetts, every single bill that, again, that's filed in a timely manner has a public hearing before the appropriate committee. That gives people like myself and Nancy McGovern and Tom Bonarigo and Frank Valeri and Bill Reary the ability to go in and testify at that hearing on behalf of our members. It also gives you, if you choose to, the ability to come into the State House or do so virtually and testify on a bill. So all of the bills that we filed, all 18 bills, are listed on massretirees.com. We will be updating that list with bill numbers as well as links to the legislative website once the process plays out over the next few weeks. We'll also be adding to that list short bill summaries for every bill that will give you a better idea of what each individual piece of legislation is about. Now, in the coming weeks, we plan to spend time in these weekly updates taking a little bit more of a deeper dive into some of these bills, if not all of the bills. So if you're looking at the list of legislation and you have a suggestion of a bill that you would like to learn more about, because I need to start someplace, send me an email, reach out to the office, let us know, bill X, Y, or Z, is something I'm interested in. Could you please, provide some additional information? And then in general, if there are topics related to your retirement, we're only focused on public retirement issues. We don't get involved in unrelated things. But if there's something that you would like to hear more about, you'd like us to focus on in these weekly updates or in the newsletter, let us know. We're always looking for new ideas. We want to make sure that the information that we're sending to all of you is something that is of interest and is going to be helpful to you as a public retiree. So if you have ideas, don't hesitate to reach out. I very much appreciate it. So with that, I'm going to sign off for today. I hope you're all doing well. Again, happy Valentine's Day. We'll be back to you again next Friday, the 21st, right before our Florian Hall meeting with a fresh update. We learn more about what's happening with implementation of the Fairness Act. We will get that information to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.